Good evening. Tonight, we bring you a story of scientific excellence emerging from an unexpected corner of the globe. In the highly competitive, multi-billion-dollar world of Antarctic research, dominated by institutions like Princeton, Oxford, and Stanford, a new leader has emerged from the global south. The University of Cape Town, along with its South African research partners, is now punching far above its weight, ranking among the top performers globally in Antarctic and Southern Ocean science. This is a 12-minute deep dive into how they did it, what it means for science, and the complex political backdrop against which this achievement unfolds. We will examine the data, speak to the implications, and connect this story to broader geopolitical narratives about Africa, knowledge, and power. Let us begin. Our story starts with a report that might have flown under the radar for many. The new Global Antarctic Research Trends Report, analyzing publications and impact from 2022 to 2024, has delivered a stunning verdict. The University of Cape Town, or UCT, and its collaborative network of South African scientists have outperformed some of the most prestigious and well-funded universities on the planet in this specific, critical field. Think about that for a moment. Antarctic science is not cheap. It requires icebreakers, remote bases, satellites, and years of funding. It is traditionally the domain of wealthy Northern Hemisphere nations. Yet, according to the metrics of research output, citation impact, and field-weighted influence, South Africa is now a heavyweight. This is not just about national pride, it is about a fundamental shift in where cutting-edge environmental science is being produced. The data shows UCT's cohort leading not just on the African continent, which is a given, but competing directly with and often beating the likes of Princeton University in the United States, the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom, and Stanford University, another American titan. This is a paradigm shift in global science. To understand the scale of this achievement, we need to look at the numbers. The Antarctic Research Trends Report uses a complex metric called Field-Weighted Citation Impact, or FWC. This measures how often a research paper is cited, normalized for its specific field and publication year. An FWCI of 1.0 is the world average. Let us visualize the leaders. According to the report, the University of Cape Town's Antarctic research output achieved an FWCI of 2.8. That means their work is cited 180% more often than the global average for Antarctic science. Now, let us compare that to the traditional powerhouses. Princeton University's Antarctic research scored an FWCI of 2.1. The University of Oxford came in at 1.9. Stanford University registered at 1.7. The data is clear. South African research in this domain has a significantly higher impact per paper. In terms of sheer volume, the story is also impressive. Between 2022 and 2024, the South African cohort published over 240 high-quality research papers in top-tier journals. When we break down the research focus, 35% of this output was in climate modeling and ice sheet dynamics. Another 30% focused on Southern Ocean marine biology and ecosystems. 20% was dedicated to atmospheric science and ozone depletion studies. The final 15% covered geology, glaciology, and logistical innovation. This is not a fluke or a single breakthrough paper. This is sustained, high-impact output across multiple disciplines. So how did they do it? What is the secret snow sauce, as one report called it? The answer lies in a combination of geographic advantage, historical legacy, and strategic focus. South Africa is the gateway to Antarctica for many nations. Its port in Cape Town is the last major stop for resupply voyages heading south. The South African National Antarctic Program, or SANAP, has maintained a continuous presence on the icy continent since 1959, with bases like SANAE4. This provides unparalleled logistical experience and year-round access. But geography alone does not explain the recent surge in quality. Insiders point to two key factors. First, a deliberate strategy of niche excellence. Instead of trying to compete in every area of science, South African institutions have focused their limited resources on specific fields where they have unique data or expertise, like monitoring the vulnerable Prince Edward Islands or studying the Agulhas Current's interaction with the Southern Ocean. Second, and perhaps more importantly, is collaboration. The success is not UCT's alone. It is a consortium involving the University of Pretoria, Stellenbosch University, the South African Environmental Observation Network, and the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. This collaborative model pools talent and avoids duplication. As one senior researcher told us off the record, we cannot outspend Princeton, so we have to outthink and out-collaborate them. This focus has paid dividends, attracting international PhD students and postdoctoral fellows who want to work with the best minds in this specific field, regardless of location. However, this story of scientific triumph exists within a much more complex and often contradictory national and international context. And this is where our narrative takes a necessary turn. While South African scientists are excelling on the global stage, a parallel narrative about South Africa has taken root in certain powerful international circles, particularly on the far right of American politics. This narrative paints a picture of a nation in collapse, where white South Africans are facing systematic persecution and require refugee status. This idea gained significant traction when, in late 2025, President Donald Trump, citing what he called credible reports of farm seizures and violence, signed an executive order granting expedited asylum eligibility to white South Africans claiming persecution. This policy was not based on assessments from major human rights organizations, but rather on a myth, the falsehood of a white genocide or widespread, state-sanctioned revenge for apartheid. The reality, as documented by groups like Human Rights Watch and South Africa's own Human Rights Commission, is far more nuanced. South Africa faces profound challenges, extreme inequality, violent crime, corruption, and failing state services. But these problems affect all South Africans, black, white, and colored. The idea of a targeted campaign is a potent political fiction. This fiction found a physical home in a tiny, obscure town called Orania. Orania is a 9 square kilometer, whites' only enclave in the Northern Cape, established in 1991 as a Volksstaat, or homeland for Afrikaners. It has its own flag, currency, and municipal government. With a population of just over 3,000 people, it has become a global symbol and a pilgrimage site for international right-wing figures. They point to Orania as proof of both Afrikaner cultural preservation and, paradoxically, of the need for escape from the rest of South Africa. The town's leaders have skillfully leveraged this international attention. The narrative sold abroad is one of a prosperous, safe, and orderly community thriving in the midst of chaos. This image deliberately omits the context. Orania exists as a direct consequence of apartheid-era planning and is seen by most South Africans as an anachronistic, separatist project. The American far-right's adoption of this narrative serves multiple purposes. It fuels a broader story about the supposed failures of multiculturalism and Black-led governance. It also provides a powerful fundraising and mobilization tool. The connection to our science story is critical. It shows how the same country can be a beacon of global scientific cooperation and a pawn in a culture war fought an ocean away. This brings us to the central tension, the relationship between open science and political secrecy. The Antarctic Treaty System, which governs the continent, enshrines the principle that science should be conducted openly and for peaceful purposes. South Africa's scientific success is a testament to this open, collaborative model. Yet the political narratives swirling around the country are often built on secrecy, misinformation, and selective truths. The concept of secrecy itself is a double-edged sword. As defined, secrecy is the practice of hiding information from certain individuals or groups who do not have the need to know. Governments often defend secrecy for national security. Corporations use it to protect intellectual property. But when is secrecy excessive? When does it cross the line into poor governance or the propagation of harmful myths? The contrast is stark. In one sphere, Antarctic science, South African institutions are celebrated for sharing data, publishing openly, and contributing to a global understanding of climate change. In another sphere, international political discourse, powerful actors selectively use and distort information about South Africa to build a secret, alternative reality that serves their ideological ends. This is not unique to South Africa, but it is a particularly vivid example. To add another layer of geopolitical intrigue, we look north to Kenya, where themes of secrecy and decision-making have also surfaced in dramatic fashion. Recently, former Attorney General Justin Muturi made explosive claims about the inner workings of President William Ruto's 2022 campaign. Muturi alleged that President Ruto held a series of secret, late-night meetings with officials from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the IEBC, in the days leading up to the election. The purpose of these alleged meetings, according to Muturi, was to discuss the final selection of a running mate. Muturi claims he was summoned from Mombasa to Nairobi for an urgent meeting at the president's residence, where the final decision to choose Rigathi Gachagua was made just hours before the public announcement. The IEBC has vehemently denied any such meetings took place, calling the claims fabrications designed to undermine electoral integrity. President Ruto's office has dismissed Muturi's account as the bitter ramblings of a former official. This story, whether true or not, highlights how perceptions of secrecy in political processes can fuel controversy and distrust. It shows that across Africa, from South Africa's scientific triumphs to Kenya's political dramas, the battle over narratives, what is revealed, what is hidden, and who gets to define the truth, is constant. Returning to our main story, what does South Africa's Antarctic success mean for the future? First, it challenges the outdated notion that scientific leadership is the exclusive domain of North America and Europe. It proves that with strategic focus, collaboration, and leveraging unique advantages, institutions in the global South can not only participate but lead. Second, it has tangible benefits for South Africa and Africa. The research directly informs understanding of climate change impacts on the continent, from changing rainfall patterns to sea level rise threatening coastal cities like Cape Town, Lagos, and Dar es Salaam. This is not abstract science, it is vital for future planning and resilience. Third, it creates a powerful counter-narrative. At a time when international discourse often reduces Africa to problems, conflict, disease, poverty, here is a story of world-class excellence, innovation, and global contribution. It is a narrative of agency and intellect. However, this positive narrative is fragile. It depends on continued funding for SANAP, on protecting academic freedom, and on maintaining the international collaborations that make the science possible. If the political and economic challenges within South Africa worsen, they could eventually undermine the very institutions producing this brilliant work. In conclusion, we are left with a compelling juxtaposition. On the frozen frontier of Antarctica, South African scientists are operating at the peak of their profession, their work shining a light on the planet's most pressing environmental issues. Their success is built on openness, data, and peer-reviewed collaboration. Meanwhile, in the heated arena of global politics, other actors are crafting a secret, alternative version of South Africa, a version of persecution and collapse to serve entirely different agendas. One South Africa is a leader in understanding and protecting the global commons. The other South Africa is a myth, weaponized in a foreign culture war. The truth, as always, lies in the complex middle. It is a country of staggering inequality and profound potential, of political challenges and scientific triumphs. The story of the secret snow sauce is ultimately a reminder that excellence can emerge from anywhere, and that the most powerful secrets are sometimes the brilliant discoveries we choose to share with the world. For Kenya News Update today, this has been a 12-minute deep dive. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today for more in-depth analysis.